Moria sat by the window of her cottage, sipping a bitter brew, when her spies returned from the village. Their tiny wings buzzed as they relayed their latest bit of gossip. One of the spies, a small gnat, hovered near her ear, whispering about an event Moria hadn't expected: Medusa's costume contest. A costume contest? Moria muttered, setting her cup down. She had heard Medusa complain about nearly everything Clever did. But now the grumpy cow was organizing something of her own? Moria grinned. If she could get ahead of this and prepare before anyone else knew about it, she'd win easily. After all, she had a flair for the dramatic. And who better to help her than her old acquaintance, Carlithia, the fairy godmother known for her magical makeovers. With a flick of her wrist, Moria summoned Carlithia to her cottage. The godmother appeared in a swirl of light, her hands full of shimmering magic dust. "You called?" Carlithia asked, tilting her head with a curious smile. "I need a new look," Moria said, standing tall. "There's a costume contest, and I'm going as myself naturally." Carlithia chuckled, shaking her head. "You do realize that's not much of a costume, right? But I can work with it." Moria smirked. "I'll win anyway. I just need a little something to enhance my natural beauty." Carlithia immediately got to work, her hands glowing as she scanned Moria's cottage for inspiration. The godmother's eyes landed on the old, dusty corners of the room, where cobwebs clung to the rafters and shelves. With a flick of her wand, Carlithia summoned the cobwebs down, weaving them into the air like fine silk threads. Next, she grabbed a jar of black glitter from Moria's cluttered shelf. Moria didn't even remember owning such a thing. Carlithia combined the cobwebs and glitter, her magic swirling around the room, transforming the dusty mess into something elegant. Slowly, a silk gown began to form, shimmering with an eerie, dark beauty. The gown fit Moria perfectly, clinging to her like it was made from the night itself. Carlithia smiled as she topped off the look with a matching pointed hat, made of the same glittering silk. "And let's not forget the nails," Carlithia said with a wink. With another wave of her wand, Moria's nails turned into miniature pumpkins, orange, black, yellow, and hints of green at the tips. Each one was carved with delicate designs, giving Moria the final touch she needed. Moria looked at herself in the mirror. A wicked grin spread across her face. "I'll win this contest for sure." "You certainly look the part," Carlithia said with a satisfied smile. "But there's more to winning than just looks. You have to charm them." Moria huffed, waving Carlithia's words away. "I've got this. Now go. I need to prepare." The day of the costume contest arrived, and the village square was buzzing with excitement for this new event. The villagers had gathered in their finest and funniest costumes, each hoping to win the grand prize. Moria strutted into the square with confidence, her silk gown shimmering under the sunlight, her hat tilted perfectly, her pumpkin nails gleaming. She was certain she had this contest in the bag. But as she surveyed the crowd, something caught her eye. A very small mouse had entered the contest as well, dressed up as the cutest little skunk imaginable. The villagers cooed over her, calling her the adorable little stinker, as they admired her tiny costume. The mouse, completely unaware of the competition, waddled about with innocence, her skunk costume neatly stitched and detailed. Moria rolled her eyes. "They're going to fall for that?" she muttered under her breath. "It's not even impressive." But as the contest went on, it became clear that the villagers were charmed by the small mouse's simplicity and cuteness. They laughed, cheered, and even gave her little treats as she paraded around in his costume. Moria, despite her grand and glittering appearance, felt a pang of doubt. She wasn't used to competing against such adorable opponents. But she wasn't giving up either. She posed dramatically, her gown sparkling in the light, her nails perfectly on display, hoping to capture the judges' attention. While Moria participated in the costume contest, she had instructed Daniel Thorne to manage her pumpkin stand. The contest was only part of the plan. She still needed to sell her pumpkins and outsell Clever. Maybe with someone new at the helm, she just may do that and make a profit. She trusted Daniel Thorne to at least handle that while she focused on winning the costume contest. But, as usual, Daniel Thorne had other ideas. Rather than managing the stand, he curled up on a pile of straw and promptly fell asleep. His lazy purring could be heard from across the square. He napped through the entire event, completely neglecting his duties. Not a single pumpkin was sold. And this time Moria had the best pumpkins. They looked good, smelled good, and even tasted good. It was really her year to win it, but other opportunities called her away. Villagers passed by, glancing at the stand wanting to purchase. But with no one there to sell them, they moved on to other vendors. Moria's beautiful, enchanted pumpkins sat untouched as Daniel Thorne slept soundly through it all. As the costume contest came to an end, the judges gathered to announce the winner. Moria stood confidently, expecting and envisioning her name to be called. Her gown was unmatched, her nails were perfect, and she had put on the best show. But then, to her shock, the judges announced the winner. The little stinker, the very small mouse, in her simple skunk costume, had won the hearts of the judges and the crowd. The villagers erupted in cheers as the mouse was handed a shiny trophy, her tiny paws barely able to hold it up. Moria stood frozen, her face a mixture of disbelief and frustration. She had lost to a very small mouse in a skunk costume. How could this happen? She questioned. Defeated, Moria slunk back to her pumpkin stand, only to find Daniel Thorne still sound asleep on top of the unsold pumpkins. Her frustration boiled over. You didn't sell a single pumpkin, she snapped, shaking him awake. Daniel Thorne stretched lazily, blinking at her. No one came by. I just went to sleep, but besides, you didn't win the contest either, so we're both failures today. Moria glared at him, her fists clenched. I had everything, and still I lost to a mouse. Daniel Thorne yawned. Maybe you should have gone as the big stinker instead. Moria stormed back to her cottage, the glitter of her gown trailing behind her like a dark cloud. She had once again been outdone, not by magic, but by something she couldn't control, charm. The simplest, most innocent thing had won, while her elaborate efforts had been ignored. As she removed her gown and placed it in her closet, Moria muttered to herself, next year I'll win. But as long as she relied on tricks and grandeur, Moria would never understand that sometimes the smallest things make the biggest impact.